Hey everyone, my name is Lindsay Ardman, and this is Leadership 4400. Tonight I'll be giving you a short briefing on the leadership film Remember the Titans, describing the leadership styles that were utilized and basing off of Kelly's two-dimensional model of followership behavior, the followers' responses to each leadership. Coach Boone, who was the head coach that took over at TC's high school football team, the Titans, used more of an authoritarian style of leadership. In the beginning, when he first walked in the doors, he was all about winning the games. He told the coaches from the very beginning, I came here to win, and that's exactly what I plan to do. As time went on and he finally got introduced to the players and they were headed out to camp, he met with them before the bus and told them, either you're going to get with it or get lost. What happens at camp, if you survive it, you will play on this team. He then immediately realized that it wasn't just going to take authoritarian style of leadership to get these people together. They were very segregated with the African American and the Caucasian. They were wanting to get on separate buses, wanting to hang out with different people. So he pulled everyone off the bus, grouped them together, and told them, you will get to know each other because this is going to be who your roommate is. I think that is a great strategy as a leader. However, I don't always agree with everything that he did. He was very rude and embarrassed a lot of the players because he knew he had power and that nothing could happen to him. But he did treat them all equally. He wasn't rude to one person and not the other. So I guess it kind of equaled out in that sense. Um, Towards the end of the movie, he was about plays, and when he called that play, it stuck with it. If a player was not ready to make that play and perform at the task that he was asking, then they would be removed. And he expected anyone else as a leader to speak up and remove the team member who wasn't participating as a team player. Coach Yost was more of a delegative style of leader. He would ask the players, what position do you feel like you're best at? And that's a position that he would put them at. It wouldn't be necessarily where they were needed at, where the team needed them at, where they played the best at. He was more people focused in that sense. He worried about the team players as a whole, which is great, but he didn't think about the task that they were put out to do. What was the reason behind the football team? It was to win games, to win championships. And yes, he may have done that, and that's why he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame for being a great coach and a great leader. But he didn't have the push, the drive behind him that I feel like Coach Boone presented this team. And because of that, he got removed from head coach down to assistant, which is, Coach Boone asked him to be his assistant coach. And that is where he was put in the place to just relay what Coach Boone would say to him. He would relay all the plays, all the coaching, anything that needed to be done through Coach Boone was acted out through Coach Yost. If there was a leadership style that I had to emulate, it would be both of those plus participative. With authoritarian, delegative, and participative style of leadership, I feel like you would create the successful outcome of winning that championship. You need authoritarian style of leadership because you need a head coach. You need someone that's going to make the shots, call the shots, and that's how it is. They're the person that comes in, they pick the players out, they help get the team together, they oversee everyone else. Then you have the delegators who are the head, the assistant coaches or the position coaches and the team captains like Jerry and Julius were. Those are the people that will delegate what Coach Boone expects of them to the rest of the players. You need them to show and set an example of what is expected from everyone else on the team, all of the other followers. Then that follows into the participative. The followers are the participative part of the leadership. They have to help and join in and participate in order for this team to become successful. Without their participation, you can't have a football team. You won't be able to win any games. So that's an important part too. I think that all three of those will reach a successful outcome. And without all three of those, I think that one may overweigh or overpower the other, and it will lead to a downfall of that team. As far as Kelly's two-dimensional model of follower behavior, he defines followers as those individuals who are courageous and honest and who cooperate to accomplish goals without competing for power or leadership. This makes so much sense because to be together because you're trying to reach a team or a common outcome. If people are constantly competing for power, it's going to be a competition for power instead of a competition for that goal or that outcome that they're trying to reach, or that championship, for instance, for the Titans. A scene that I would pick out that really stood out for me was at the camp on the way at their practice field. Jerry started to get loud with another player, and this was because his teammate was not blocking for Julius's teammate, and it caused some altercations between the teams. First off, because they were already segregated, and no one felt like they wanted to cover for each other's teammates. So that was the first issue that they had to overcome. Once they were able to overcome the race issue, Jerry, stood up for his teammate and basically told him, if you're not going to block, you can get the heck off the team. You don't need to be here. You don't need to be part of this team. You need to go on and carry on about yourself. I guess that stirred up enough, and Jerry realized, and his teammate realized, hey, I need to participate. I need to carry on, and maybe we can reach this common outcome, and we can become a successful team together. At that point, that's when Julius helped block for his men as well, and they were able to reach a touchdown and make the winning game, which led to successful practices, a successful camp, ultimately to the success of their championship game. During that time when the argument was happening between Jerry and Julius, they kind of came together at the end, and the coaches had to stand back and let that happen. Coach Boone knew that time as an authoritarian style leader. Of course, he wanted to take in and take action, but he knew it was better to sit back and let them kind of participate with one another and figure out each other, so that way they can come together as a team. They had to work out their differences on the field during practice. That way, when the games came and it really counted, they could come together. I would consider their followers at this point effective followers. An effective follower has high critical thinking, which is independent and critical thinkers that are willing to be creative and innovative and are willing to offer criticism regardless of the response it may have. An active engagement takes initiative, assumes ownership, and achieves and participates in job performance. The reason why I think they're effective followers is because by the end of this, the followers that were coming from Jerry's side and Julius's side came together as a team. During Jerry's accident with the car, I feel like brought the team together as family and made them realize, we have to love one another, and we got to win this game for Jerry. Together, high critical thinking and active engagement resulted in increased teamwork, team commitment, and decreased losses. That team went completely undefeated. They were beating teams that had judgment against them because they were interracial. They were fighting segregation, and because they were able to come together and have high critical thinkers and active engagement, it resulted in effective followers. Not only were they battling different leadership styles, the culture that they were put in, the outside surroundings, their communities, their families didn't even want them to come together. So when they came together in camp and they had to come back to school, they were fighting a whole nother battle. This team came together and was so successful regardless of the situations that they had to fight. I would say in the end, Coach Boone and Coach Yost both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame for football just because both of their leadership styles came together in the end and created a successful winning team. So that's a little bit about how I feel about the leadership film, Remember the Titans, and the styles of leadership that were used. I think that authoritarian, delegative, and participative were all three great styles of leadership to utilize. And if that was me, I would emulate all three to make a successful team. So, thank you for listening, and that's all.